Hello everyone, Lemon here, and I am back with another lemonade video. It has been a while since I've uploaded, anything really, but especially on the Lemonade channel. A lot of stuff has gone on in my personal life that I won't really get into, but I am back, and the full Lemon video is in production. It is being made, so that will come out hopefully soon-ish. Today I wanted to do another Dreamcast game showcase because I'm such a fan of the Sega Dreamcast. So what I've actually got today is there is a fan-made port of Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike was actually ported to the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, so Counter-Strike is a fully fan-made game. It was made by a small team, if I am correct, and the final release was released in 2009. So let's get into it. Essentially, like I said, it was released in 2009, so it's not a early game, but it's also not like a really modern release. And like I said, this is just complete homebrew. So there's no official release of this. I have essentially just lower that down. I've essentially just burnt the game to a CD, so anyone can download this game online. You can either play it from a GDMU, which is like an SD card, in place of the disc drive on the Dreamcast, or alternatively, you can just do what I did. I still have a disc drive on mine, so very easy to do. You can literally just burn games to CDs for Dreamcast, so just burnt this onto a CD, and it works just out of the box. Now, I've actually got plugged in my Sega Dreamcast official keyboard and mouse just to kind of get a bit of a better experience. I think I may try the controller as well. This is not an active development anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. So, like I said, the final release was in around 2009, and the game is always and always has been just a single player experience. There is no local or online multiplayer here, which is a shame. Multiplayer was probably really not feasible for this game in 2009. It's just not possible. With kind of the advent of new Dreamcast games that are online, like Driving Strikers, which is nearly at full release. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially a Rocket League clone. I'll have some footage there. It's a Rocket League clone. It's in development for Dreamcast. Some betas have already been released to the public, and that does feature online play. So it's the first Dreamcast game since 2001 to have online functionality. Maybe not 2001 if you look at some Japanese games, but it's been a long time essentially. So with that, maybe down the line, this could have online functionality added to it if someone was mad enough to do that. But it's all a lot of what ifs. As it is, it's just a single player experience, and it is built off. It is built completely off the. Built completely off the Half-Life port of Half-Life to the Dreamcast. Sorry, so obviously I'm not sure if everyone knows, but there was a Half-Life port for the Dreamcast that was planned. The game was delayed a couple of times, and it was essentially fully made, and at the last minute, a month before release, the publisher, who I think it was Sierra, they cancelled it. Essentially, they just cancelled the port because the Dreamcast just wasn't doing too well in 2001. The game was essentially fully made, and it never came out. Then, a few years later, in something like 2004, maybe later, not 100% sure, Half-Life leaked. There was a leaked build of the game online, which is essentially it's the full game. It was a build about a month away from release, and the game is fully playable. It has a pretty crazy frame rate. It's uncapped, so it goes from 60 to anything to 17, depending on what you're doing. So the frame rate is a bit nuts, but the game is fully playable. I've actually completed Half-Life and the DLC that was exclusive to the Dreamcast originally, Blue Shift. That's included as well. I've completed both of them on the Dreamcast natively, and it is a fully complete port, and it actually features better graphics than the PC version at the time. But yes, this is built off that. This is built off the Half-Life engine, just as the original Counter-Strike is built off the original Half-Life for PC. So it's a pretty neat fit. I'm just going to customize some controls here, make sure everything's just kind of as I want it. Okay, I think the controls I've got working. If not, I will just modify them and just clip the video so you don't have to watch me struggle. But let's just hit a new game. and let's see what we've got here. So practice CADC, launch counter-terrorist campaign, and terrorist campaign. Okay, so let's just start off with the practice, see what we've got. Another issue that was present with Half-Life probably won't be as big of an issue for this port, since the game is just kind of like maps loaded in at once. But with Half-Life being such a big game, the loading times on the Dreamcast version are long and they are frequent. Probably not the longest things in the world actually in terms of how long it loads. Soldier of Fortune, which is another FPS release for the Dreamcast, is probably longer than that. But yeah, it's quite long. Okay, so off the bat, frame rate is, I'm gonna say, pretty stuttery, but I'm gonna say it's a little bit better than the I want to say it's a little bit better than Half-Life. Right, let's see it. Okay. Right, okay, so this is pretty stuttery. Again, I would probably say FPS games really never ran that great on Dreamcast. With the exception of, well, that's not true actually. Certain games like Quake and games like Quake and Half-Life, stuff like that. Games like Quake and Half-Life. Sorry, no. Games like Quake and Unreal Tournaments run actually pretty good, especially for the time. However, games like Half-Life, which to be fair never released, this is a fan-made game as well, so it's unfair to kind of use this, especially considering it's running off the Half-Life engine. Games like this though don't run that great performance-wise. They can just really, they're okay moving around, but it's just kind of when it comes to like when it comes to like playing games, when it comes to like combat, I'm really not good at multitasking, you can probably tell. When it comes to like combat, the game can start to chug a bit. Performance seems to be okay now that I've kind of got things work. The game's loaded in a bit. So it's actually, what this game essentially is what could have been, because we've got the flashlight as well. So we've got a flashlight there. Those are weapons, so probably pick up more as we go down. Stick to the shotgun for now. I've turned auto aim off just because since I'm playing with a mouse and keyboard, probably don't need it, to be honest with you. Yeah, this game is really interesting for me because it's essentially what could have been. There was plans. Oh shit. Let's see if I can use my alternate attack. Oh, how is he not dead? Yes, there was plans to actually bring Counter-Strike or Half-Life's multiplayer mode. I think it was meant to be Half-Life, Counter-Strike at one point. Obviously, it never kind of left the ground. It never kind of left the ground. It was only really a concept, but I'm pretty certain that the plan was to, after Half-Life released, considering that they've basically ported that original Half-Life engine to Dreamcast, and considering Counter-Strike is so similar to Dreamcast. Sorry, Counter-Strike is, well, it's built off the essentially same engine as Half-Life. Considering that, it made sense really to just it made sense to port Counter-Strike. So there were actually plans to port Counter-Strike to Dreamcast. However, considering the Half-Life game didn't even get finished, let's try and use this grenade launcher. Woo, there we go. Right, considering it's a much smaller radius than Half-Life 2. I've been playing a lot of Half-Life 2 recently, so kind of is why I'm used to this. It's a much it's just a kind of what could have been, because like I said, there were plans to bring out Counter-Strike for Dreamcast, considering it was a perfect match really, because Half-Life was a great game to have on Dreamcast, and especially at the time there were no other console ports of Half-Life. It was essentially a PC only game. I'm out of ammo. Shit. Should we try and use the knife? Let's try and use the knife. I'm on low health, but there we go. Considering it was the only console port of Half-Life, it was a big win for the Dreamcast, especially, well, before it actually was cancelled, but obviously it was like talked about in magazines and there was even adverts for it. Sega definitely lent into the fact that they had a Half-Life port in the works, because again, Half-Life was massive around the time it came out, and it was also a demanding game as well. Definitely something that couldn't have ran on last gen hardware. So having Half-Life on Dreamcast really kind of showed people the Dreamcast was a next gen console, and that it was worth talking about basically. Right, let's see if we can. I'm pretty low health. Right. Okay, they're both dead. Yeah, it was just an interesting idea, and it did make sense to port it, but like I was saying, again, Half-Life was a great game. That it was a shame it never got released, but it would have been a great game for the Dreamcast. Counter-Strike though was like, it almost felt like an even better match for the Dreamcast, considering obviously you've got the Half-Life engine ported over to Dreamcast, which is what this fan game is built on. And when I say fan game, it's a homebrew game, but it's not. It's using the official kind of engine. It's not kind of ported to like a different engine. It is full Counter-Strike working in Dreamcast. It's the full engine that Half-Life was on, just adapted to work on Dreamcast. But originally, Counter-Strike just really seemed like a perfect fit, because not only did you have the Dreamcast, which could run this game and it was feasible, but also the original Half-Life had a lot of loading times, because the way the game was laid out, it was like a long, big single-player game, so there's a lot of loading screens. With Counter-Strike, it's just small maps, so obviously the game could just have the map load in once, and then you are ready and you're good to go. Yeah, but the other thing is the online functionality of the Dreamcast, especially until the PlayStation 2. So bear in mind, the PlayStation 2 didn't actually come with any sort of online functionality out of the box. There was an adapter that you had to buy, a broadband adapter, and then the later model, the PS2 Slim, which came out in around 2004, 2005, I think, that model had an Ethernet port built into the game. Let's try and shoot this guy. Oh, he's fighting back. There we go. Yeah, let's maybe try a different map. Yeah, but as I was saying, considering the online functionality, the Dreamcast was the only console in 2000 and 2001 that had online functionality. The GameCube released in 2001, but I think it was 2001. Yeah, it was. GameCube released in 2001. GameCube had essentially no online functionality for its entire life. The only real game that had online functionality, weirdly enough, was Phantasy Star Online, which was originally a Dreamcast game that was ported there because obviously Sega stopped production of the Dreamcast. Obviously, there is the original Xbox. The original Xbox was a powerhouse, and that was really kick-started the online functionality craze with Xbox Live 1.0. However, Xbox Live 1.0, Xbox didn't release till 2001, and also Xbox Live wasn't actually ready till, I want to say, 2002, 2003. The Dreamcast didn't have online functionality till 2000, but in 2000 it was the only system that had online games, and that's why you got games like Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament, great PC games from back in the day that had that that were really fun to play online, that got Dreamcast ports and had the online multiplayer. When you port those games over and lack the online multiplayer, you lose essentially what I'd say. Let's maybe try the sniper. You lose essentially like the personality of the game. Like games like Quake 3, Unreal Tournament, they are made to be played online. So Obviously, with Quake 3, there was also a PlayStation 2 port that came a bit later down the line. PlayStation 2 port had no features for multiplayer at all. It had split-screen multiplayer and bots, but there was no online functionality in that game whatsoever. The Dreamcast, back in 2000, I want to say, maybe it was 2001, the Dreamcast featured full online play, which supported both, for Quake, supported both dial-up internet and the broadband adapter if you did have that as well, so that's quite nice. Right, okay, let's see what we've got here. Wow, okay, so there's a lot of levels. This is pretty cool. We obviously won't have time to go through all of them. Let's just pick one that seems interesting. Let's try train. So yeah, Counter-Strike would have been a perfect game for the Dreamcast, considering if the Dreamcast just did that little bit better and managed to survive to even just say 2003, 2004, I think you would have seen a lot more interesting online games released for it. The issue is with the Dreamcast, considering its lifespan was only really 1999 to 2001, and in January 2001 it was essentially discontinued, so well, it was officially discontinued by Sega, so that 2001 really wasn't feasible for anyone to start development. It was just games that were already far enough in development. Okay, so what have we got to do? Disarm 2 bombs. What have we got here? It's a broken texture. Sniper, okay. Okay. Let's try this out. Whoa, shit. Is that one of those spy people? Oh, shit. It is one of those spy people. I know, because I was literally just playing through Black Mesa, actually. The Half-Life... The Black Mesa, the remake of Half-Life in the Source engine. Trying to get a headshot. Nice. Nice. So again, this runs really well, to be honest. Considering... It runs really well, considering I have played through the original Half-Life on Dreamcast, and that does not, to be honest. At certain points you can get a full 60, but in combat you can really drop down to like teens frame rate wise. Whoa, shit, I hate these spy people. Oh, the way they jump. The game still gets choppy when there's combat involved, but they have made substantial improvements, to be honest. Shit. They've made substantial improvements to They made substantial improvements from the original Half-Life game. It does perform better. Let's maybe try a different map, because that did not end too well. Again, this isn't really kind of like a full long play, just kind of a small, just kind of a playthrough really, just kind of try it out, see how it is. And I am impressed, to be honest. It is a real shame this never happened. Like I said, if the Dreamcast lasted longer than 2001, I really do think we probably would have seen, A, you would have seen the Half-Life port, because the game was fully finished, and B, you would have seen, probably I reckon you would have seen Counter-Strike. Why can't I move? That's my question. Okay, I can't move at all. Okay, right, we are back. Let's go Counter-Terrorist again. Shotgun, grenades and knife, rifle and knife, rifle, handgun and knife. Let's probably go soldier. I reckon soldier. We're gonna try a different map. And yeah, so yeah, it's quite an interesting game to see, and considering it was quite early made, it's not really a new recent game. It's 2009, so it's a bit of a interesting time it came out. You can play this game with a game. A lot of people kind of do wonder this. Obviously the Dreamcast controller only had one analog stick, which did kind of hinder it really. It's kind of one of those issues that you only really can kind of like think, oh, that's a bit crap, with hindsight. In the context of when the Dreamcast came out, with that said, the original DualShock on PlayStation 1 did have two analog sticks, so maybe it should have had a second. It should have had a second analog stick, let's be honest, but it didn't. So right, let's pick a. What have we got? 007 Assault, Italy. Let's try Rio. Yeah, like I was saying, you can actually play it. The Dreamcast controller should have had a second analog stick, to be honest. However, you can play FPS games with the standard controller. Obviously, for maximum just kind of comfort and just ease of use, I am using the keyboard and mouse here. Sega did release the keyboard and mouse, and they did push it quite hard because at the time the Dreamcast was a really kind of great option against like kind of like a PC. Because it could run a lot of the games. There was a lot of ports of big PC games from the time, like Unreal Tournament, Quake, stuff like that, and obviously it was a fraction of the cost of like a beefy PC from the time. So the keyboard and mouse was pushed quite a lot because you found a lot of PC ports from around the late 90s, very early 2000s were ported to Dreamcast. However, you can still play the game with a controller. The way it works is, and to be honest, it's not ideal. It's not going to be great against. It's not going to kind of work great against kind of like when you compare it against a second analog stick. It's not going to look great. It's not going to perform great. Sorry, but with that said, shit, this person is really fucking me up. I've put auto aim on, by the way, just because like, just to be a little bit more fair. Have I got grenades? I think I do have grenades. Come on, blow up. Now we're talking, okay. Now we're cooking with gas, right. But yeah, you could play through Dreamcast games with a with the standard controller. The way it would work is obviously with the lack of a second analog stick, you would move with the 4 face buttons. So obviously Y, X, A, B. You know, forward is kind of like a WASD keyboard setup with the face buttons. You'd move with the face buttons and then you'd aim with the left analog stick. That was kind of the most common setup people would go for anyway. Obviously it's not as good as a second analog stick, but to be honest, I've played through a lot of FPS games on Dreamcast with the controller, and you really do kind of just get used to it. You're still aiming with an analog stick because you've still got that aim. It's just movement. You're back to kind of essentially what you've got on PC, WASD. It takes some getting used to, but it honestly really is fine. There's not exactly, it's not really kind of like, I'm gonna probably use a sniper. Let's see if I can get with the sniper. Right, throw the torch on. Shit, who's doing that? Fuck. I did put auto aim on for this, by the way, just because like with the way the game kind of is a bit choppy. If the way the game is a bit choppy, I feel like maybe I'll just have the auto aim on, just kind of to be fair. Let's exit that map. Okay, I'm not doing very well. Let's try a different map. We'll try a few more. Yeah, but when playing with a controller, it's okay. It's a shame that it doesn't have a second analog stick, but the analog stick it does have isn't really. It's a pretty decent analog stick on the Dreamcast, so it's not that bad. The only issue was with games like Quake. I'm not sure on Unreal Tournament. I want to say yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but I know definitely on Quake there is crossplay, so PC players can play with Dreamcast players, and it is essentially just completely unfair. I mean, it's already unfair. It's already incredibly unfair if you've got people who are using the keyboard and mouse like I am right now against people who are using the controller, the Dreamcast controller. You're just gonna lose every single time. But let's try Italy. But with that said, it's doable. And for games like Soldier of Fortune or Half-Life, games that are campaign games, and you know, even Unreal Tournament's probably pretty decent. Unreal Tournament probably is a lot better played on the controller against Quake, because Quake has not really got any auto aim. Unreal Tournament, if you're playing on controller, it kind of does level out because they give you an insane amount of auto aim, which is kind of fair, to be honest, if you're coming against keyboard and mouse, but it really does kind of feel even because you do get an insane amount of auto aim, and the game's just crashed. Oh dear. Okay, so we are back and we haven't crashed. I think that is an enemy, so let's just start by killing this guy. Okay, so this is the Italy map, and it does not run well at all. Oh shit, I need to go. I need to leave. Shit, I'm getting absolutely swatted. Oh, fuck. What have we got here? Okay, let's try and snipe that guy. They've got rockets, so it's not really bit. Oh, fuck. This is hard. It's a lot harder than Half-Life. The AI is... It's not bad, it's quite clever. So we got anything. So this is the Italy map. It did crash before. It's interesting that happened because, like I said, this game is built off. It's not built off an actually technically completely finished game. So like I said with Half-Life, it's built off the Half-Life game, which the build that we've got, the latest build that has been found, which is probably the last build to be honest, is a month away from release. So the game is essentially finished. However, you do occasionally get crashes. When I played Half-Life, the whole full game through on Dreamcast, the game did crash exactly like that, where it puts up like a command line. Did crash twice. Shit, I've got no ammo. Shit. Come on, must have something. Come on. For fuck's sake, right. That's the Italy map. So as you've probably noticed, the game is not like a full retail game. It is a bit buggy. I've had 2 crashes. I had essentially had the crash where the map wouldn't load, and then obviously before I've switched back to counter-terrorist, by the way. I also had essentially the glitch when I returned to the map select there, and the game just like wouldn't let me move. Right, let's pick a different map. I am thinking Oil Rig looks quite good, to be honest. Let's maybe try Oil Rig. Probably try this and then 2 more, and then we'll probably just call it a night. So this is a lot loading wise. Again, like I said, Counter-Strike just kind of much more fitted to Dreamcast rather than Half-Life, because obviously you've got this initial load for the map here, but you don't in Half-Life. There's constant loading essentially. Again, this would be great if someone could kind of like add online functionality to this years later, but the issue is, unlike Unreal Tournament and Quake, which generally perform okay really for the time with the context of things and how demanding the game was, they generally perform okay. You get a relatively stable 30 FPS. However, Half-Life, the Half-Life engine that is on Dreamcast, while fully functional performance wise, I just don't really think it's up there for like online play. I just don't think it's good enough. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it could be done. I suppose everyone is in the same boat, but I'm going to play this really tactical now. This is the thing, I'm a big Valve fan. I do play PC Valve games quite a lot, but I'm not really big on Counter-Strike. Never have been big on Counter-Strike, to be honest. Just kind of like, when I like shooters, I like much more like faster paced kind of arcadey shooters. Fuck, who's shooting me? Who is shooting me? Fuck, look at the speed of this fucker, right. I hate these enemies. I especially hate when I'm like running at like 15 frames per second. I've got grenades. She's got to be dead. I think I just seen a load of blood splatter. Yeah, she's dead. Okay, maybe I'm playing Counter-Strike like Quake. I need to be a lot more tactical. Again, I've never really played much Counter-Strike, but I know it's quite a tactical game. Okay. I can hear them. They're coming. Let's reload. In fact, we're going to take this back passage. So what map is this? Oil Rig. Oil Rig, yeah. To my knowledge, I think these are all original Counter-Strike maps from the game. There's that fucking thing from Half-Life. I hate those things. Yeah, I actually wouldn't really know, to be honest. I think these are all ports of like original Dreamcast maps. Shit, grenade, shit. Right, maybe let's try a taste of their own medicine. Please be dead. Okay. Got some ammo. I'm starting to get the hang of this a bit more. Got to be a lot more tactical with how we're doing things here. A lot more tactical. Let's have a scope out with this. See what we got with the sniper. Looking good. Shit, what? Something is going on up there. There. No, that's not. That's not a guy. That's armor. There's a guy somewhere though. I can maybe switch to the shotgun. I can hear something is going on. There's a guy. Fucking die! Throw another grenade. Last one. There we go. Essentially need to be really close to get any kind of use of those shotgun. Those spy women from Half-Life, those enemies, I fucking hate. Is this a lift? Can we use this to go up? Do I even want to? Do I really want to face what's around it? No, I don't. There's someone there. Can we use a sniper here? Maybe? There we go. Stay ahead of the curve. I'm going to go ahead and take that lift. It's probably the longest I've survived on any of these maps. Yeah. Wasn't sure if it was fully working then. Textures. Oh shit. Shit. Using a sniper like a fucking shotgun. Maybe let's switch to the AR. So Counter-Strike, to my knowledge, did actually get a port. Did actually get a port on the original Xbox, if I remember. And again, like I said, in a lot of ways, really, in many ways, the Xbox really is essentially the successor to the Dreamcast. The original Xbox, anyway. Like I said, a lot of what the Dreamcast started, the Xbox basically carried the baton and kind of carried it on. Obviously, Microsoft originally teamed up with Sega to make the Dreamcast compatible with Windows CE, so it was easy to port PC games. So Sega helped them get their foot kind of in, you know, kind of dip their toe in the water with kind of gaming hardware and stuff like that. Let's probably switch to the sniper for this. But also the big thing really is, when it came to online play, the Dreamcast really started it, and Xbox kind of thought, these guys are onto something here. They're just that little bit too early, and they kept pushing with Xbox Live, and look at how online gaming took off. So Sega were right, they were just that little bit too early, which is really quite frustrating, but we move. Alright, let's see. It was originally, when the Dreamcast was coming out, when the Dreamcast was coming out, there were talks actually of the Xbox being backwards compatible with all Dreamcast games, so you could play all your Dreamcast games on Xbox. So a lot of Sega users could migrate over to Xbox. This was kind of a planned feature, or it was in talks anyway, but it never kind of materialized. Main reason being, from what I can understand, the online system for what's going on here? That is wonky. Shit, we're out of ammo. Fuck. Main reason being really the online systems that were in, obviously because they wanted people to be able to play the online games on the Xbox. Xbox Live was just too different to Dreamcast online infrastructure, so where it wasn't really feasible. So that never happened, but that is a shame. But you will find really, like, there's so many games on the original Xbox that if the Dreamcast survived would have been on Dreamcast. House of the Dead 3 was originally planned for Dreamcast. Toe Jam and Earl was planned for Dreamcast. There's a build of that that's leaked online. You can actually play it. There's loads. Jet Set Radio Future was originally a Dreamcast game. There's loads of games. So a lot of people kind of do see the original Xbox as... is this the first time I've finished a mission? Do I just get in this helicopter and get away? The original Xbox, that is one crunchy skybox. The original Xbox was essentially, in a lot of ways, the successor to the Dreamcast. Really kind of helped it. Kind of like a lot of people from Dreamcast migrated to the Xbox. It shared a lot of the same values as the Dreamcast. If you look at the controller, the original Duke, it's very, very similar to the Dreamcast controller. What is going on? Let's exit that map. I do not know what was going on there. I couldn't move again, so let's just exit the map. I assume I finished the mission, to be honest with you. That's what I'm going to go with. Let's do one more map. Okay, let's do one more map and then we will call it a day. Let's see what we've got here. I did say I was probably going to try out the controller gameplay, but to be honest, the game's hard enough on keyboard and mouse, so I'm probably not going to do that, just because I've played this game before briefly on controller, and I've played a lot of FPSs on Dreamcast on controller, including Half-Life, which this game shares the exact same control scheme. So I'm just going to stick to keyboard and mouse. Do one more map. It's interesting, really, when we're talking about porting games like this over to the Dreamcast. Like I said before, it's only got one analog stick, so you have to use the face buttons to move. That also just does pose the issue, though, of, like, especially for a game like Half-Life, there's really not that many buttons on the Dreamcast controller. You've got the 2 triggers, the analog stick, the D-pad, and then the 4 face buttons. But the 4 face buttons are being used up with movement. The analog stick's being used up for aiming, and then the right trigger's being used up to fire. So it's kind of difficult with controls, really, to how to fit all the controls onto the game controller. What games like Quake and like Unreal Tournament kind of manage, because you actually don't really need that many controls to use. Let's pick. I'm between Tundra and Aztec or Nuke. Let's go Tundra. I want to see a snow level. I think this is going to be a snow level anyway. I hope so. But yeah, so what games like Quake and Unreal Tournament kind of got away with it. Didn't really kind of need that many buttons. Didn't need that many things to be mapped. But games like Soldier of Fortune and Half-Life and this game, when playing on a controller anyway, obviously there's a lot more things that you need to map buttons to. So the way the game worked is, I think I've just took 4 damage just from spawning in. That's a great start. The way the game essentially... Okay, I see someone. The way the game essentially works is they have, for games like Soldier of Fortune, this on gamepad, and Half-Life, they essentially have it to where... Shit, already found grenades. Not a good sign. Essentially already have it to where the left trigger, is essentially... Where are these fucking grenades coming from? You know, I'm going to live to fight another day. They essentially have it to where the left trigger, acts as a shift, which essentially doubles up the amount of buttons that you've got on the Dreamcast. So, for example, to fire your weapon in Half-Life and Soldier of Fortune and Counter-Strike with the controller, you just hit the right trigger. For your alternate fire, hold the left trigger, as like the left trigger is essentially a shift. Hold the left trigger and then press the right trigger. Just like if you want to reload, obviously X is usually what you'd reload on a control. Usually what reload is on a controller. X is usually that, but obviously X is being taken up by movement. So what you actually do is you hold the left trigger down and press X, and then you reload. So, you know, there's essentially, they've doubled up all the buttons. So left, so you've got like all the D-pad buttons, and then hold shift, and then another set of D-pad buttons, all the face buttons for movement. But then you've also got, you can use the left shift, left trigger, and then you've got a load of face buttons again. Can I break this? Yeah, I can. Okay. I'm going to take 4 damage here. This ain't going to end well. Oh no, there's a ladder. There's a ladder. Great. Is there an enemy? So probably. So I'm pretty sure these are all original Counter-Strike maps that have been ported over. It is a shame, really, that there's no multiplayer, not even local functionality on this, which is a shame, but considering how the engine is running, I would not say in its current form it was just up to scratch for that. It is still incredibly impressive. This was made by a complete fan-made thing. And it's essentially the whole of a sizable chunk of Counter-Strike. Whoa, shit, are you fucking joking? Right, okay, I'm pretty sure that's the... Oh, shit, head crab. Why is there a head crab in Half-Life? I mean, in Counter-Strike, I did not expect that. Okay, right. Oh, fuck, it releases the little baby ones, right. Fuck's sake, right. Fuck this. Just throwing a load of grenades at it, hope it does something. Please die, please die. This is going to be an issue. This is not looking good. Fucking die, little bastard. I'm glad I turned auto aim on. I think I need it. Fuck, there's another one. It's so hard to see. It's so hard to see it. Where is it? There. Fuck, fuck! How is that not dead? It's got to be dead, right. I did not fucking expect to see that. I thought this was Counter-Strike. I know it's built off the fucking Half-Life engine, but I did not know it was fucking the same thing. Come on, die. Yeah, it's dead. Okay. That was a scary encounter. I did not expect one of those. That's from the Zen part of Half-Life. Did not expect to see it in the fucking Tundra map. Where do we go? We go up or down? I'm gonna stay down. See what else is down here. Maybe, probably not a lot, to be honest. We're going up regardless. Whoa, shit. Okay. Shit, right, sniper up there. There we go. Nice. It's weird, like I'm so used to playing PC. I've been playing PC loads recently. To go from that to this performance is just like, it's pretty hard. I mean, I'm playing games at 120 FPS usually, especially first-person shooters. I'm pushing the frame rate to 120 FPS. So to go from that to this is quite a change. I mean, this game is probably running at about 20. I want to say it's in the 20s for frame rate when it comes to combat anyway. Let's see if we can finish this mission. Let's see if we can end on a good one. Isn't that the helicopter? Why is that? Fuck, he's throwing a grenade. He's throwing a grenade. Let's get the AR out. Need the AR. Okay, he's dead. Have we done it? More up here? No. Okay. I don't know where this is going to take me. If it's just going to bug out like it did last time. Maybe just let me just see where it takes me, and then if it's nowhere interesting, we'll just call it. The game crashed. This is probably a perfect time to end this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was interesting to try out. I hope it was interesting to watch. It's a weird kind of thing. As you can see there, the date that DC release build, that date is May 23rd, 2001. So that's the last. That's not when this game was made. That's when the engine this game is running off, the Half-Life build. That's what this game is based off. That's when that was last updated. So yeah, that's essentially the Dreamcast build. As you can tell, the game is very ambitious and it is impressive for the console, especially considering this was not made on a commercial scale. There was no development team, official kind of a development team back in the day making this, and it really does feel very much like very close to a full release that we could have got out of like Counter-Strike on Dreamcast. But as you can probably tell, there's a few kinks with it. This is the final build. This isn't active development anymore, so this is essentially what we've got. But yeah, it's a bit buggy. It's not really buggy, but it crashes. There's a fair few it's prone to crashing, a lot more prone than Half-Life is, to be honest. Half-Life, played that whole game through, and the DLC, I only ever had a crash twice. But yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see kind of more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the second channel. And if you're kind of into more kind of like edited, kind of like highly made, more high production value kind of content, obviously make sure to check out whatever I've uploaded on the main channel. Just released a video on there actually about a lemon video about a Sega Dreamcast extreme sports game, and there's also the one below that is about Planet Ring, which is a kind of forgotten online game for the Dreamcast, like an online party game for the Dreamcast that was published by Sega, but no one seems to remember. But I get back online on it and kind of have fun. So make sure to check those videos out if you would like, and I will see you all later.